Hi friends, and welcome back to a new video. So it's a new year, a new challenge. If you've been on my channel for some time, you know that I do a yearly, some type of no buy, low buy challenge just to challenge myself a little bit, to get out of my comfort zone. So far, I've done a no buying clothes challenge, I've done no buying Amazon challenge, a thrifting challenge, and last year I did a only buying 15 items for the whole year challenge. So if you're interested in those, I'll leave those down below in the description box for you to watch. And this year, it's a new challenge. I learned so much about myself, about my spending habits, shopping habits, what triggers I have. I learned to know what to stay away from, how to cope with triggers, and just to optimize my minimalistic life and the goal of buying and consuming less in general. As a minimalist, I really want to limit the amount of stuff that I have in my home to truly what I need and what brings me value. That number is far less than we think that it will be, and I've learned so much through my minimalism journey with all the challenges, decluttering challenges, no buy challenges that I've done. Most of what I buy truly isn't necessary, but it's still for some reason so hard to withstand. Last year, as I said, with the 15 items challenge, I wasn't quite able to stick with it, but I definitely was in the realm of those 15 items. And the year before that, I had bought 40 items, and a big chunk of the things that I bought truly weren't necessary. But still, even though you know consciously that you don't really need this, the emotional aspect often is so strong and really tough to withstand. But I think we can all relate to this, and we all have the same struggles. But slowly and surely, I think we can learn to withstand these emotional impulses, and just to know that we're all in the same boat, we're all doing our best and trying to improve and consume less in general. It's good for our wallet, it's good for our mental health. Minimalism truly has helped me to, I guess, release a lot of, you could almost call it burden in my mind. So I truly believe that every item you own, you have to somehow save in your brain to know where it is, to know that you have it. And I've just realized that with having less, it feels like a mental load has been lifted off. It sounds really dramatic, but it truly is the case. And of course, minimalism and low consumption is really good for the environment. We need less resources. And with spending less money, you, in a sense, also have more time, because you can maybe afford to work less, because we work to earn money, and we need the money to, in a sense, live, to sculpt out this life that we want. And if it is a minimalistic life, we truly need far less than we would otherwise need. And also, I just really don't want to be getting that dopamine rush with buying things, and just try to wean my brain off of getting that rush of joy from purchases, because those aren't sustainable. I want to be getting my joy from things that truly bring me value, that bring me long-term satisfaction and joy, things that I enjoy. So things like painting, baking, crafting. I just have so many hobbies. Last year I did a only buying 15 items challenge, and I realized that a big chunk of the things that I was buying were books. And that was a little bit surprising, since I already own a lot of books. I mean, this isn't even all. I have another bookshelf with books, and a lot of the books that I own I haven't even read yet, but still I'm going out and purchasing new books. So this year I wanted to do a no buying books challenge to really limit the amount of books that I own. In addition, I also joined the city library membership in last summer. So I really have a lot of reasons not to buy new books. Though I do have to disclaim though that their English book selection isn't too great. It is limited, and it is also kind of a weakness of mine. I really enjoy reading, and my books wish list is really long. So this year I want to try to not buy books and really stick to the ones that I already own and try to process off those and read those that I haven't read yet. The only exception I would make when buying a book is, for one, if it's not available in the library, of course, but also if I'm able to declutter 2 books, I'm able to buy one. So kind of the 1 in, 2 out method, with the overall goal of reducing the amount of books that I have, to read the books that I have. So usually I will declutter books that are fictional, that I just don't see myself reading again, especially things like thrillers or I guess kind of like murder mystery, Agatha Christie type of books, when you know who the murderer or the killer is, you're not going to, most likely not going to read that again. Books that I do tend to keep are, for one, I guess you could call self-help books that I might want to reference again, or books that are just so beautifully written that I know I want to read that again sometime. So my rules for this challenge, any good challenge needs rules that you set in the beginning so that it's really clear what you have to stick to, what is allowed and what isn't. So number 1 is the 1 in, 2 out method that I just explained. So I don't want to buy any books with the exception of reading 2 books, decluttering 2 books, then I'm allowed, in a sense, to bring in a new book. Inner city, we do have these book exchanges where you can pick out books for free, in a sense. Those I would also count as a new book purchase, just because I'm bringing in a new book regardless of whether I paid for it or not. So if I decide to bring in a book from those book exchange shelves, then I also have to declutter and get rid of and read 2 books that I already have at home. Something that doesn't count is if I'm gifted books, since that isn't in my control in case I do get gifted a book that is, I guess, just disregarded. Another issue I might see myself running into is I am part of a local book club here and I really enjoy reading books with them. So those books oftentimes aren't available at the library. Of course, that is always the first place I would check, but this past year I've bought 3 books with the purpose of reading with my book club. So just in case it isn't available at the library and I really do want to read that book with my book club group, the solution I've come up with is I'm allowed to purchase that in a Kindle version. So my boyfriend Johannes has a Kindle. To be honest, I'm not a fan of reading on a Kindle. I know that it's supposed to be good for your eyes and mimic paper, but I still feel like I'm staring at a screen, and I just like the feeling of a physical book so much more. But with the book club books, I think that's a good compromise. So I'm not buying books for the physical books for the book club, but I'm buying the Kindle version so that I'm not bringing in new physical copies of books. But this Kindle clause, as you could call it, is really only for book club books, nothing else. So far, I've borrowed books from friends. The current one I'm reading, I borrowed from a friend. I originally borrowed it from the library, but the lease, do you call it lease, ran out, and I wasn't able to renew it, so I borrowed it from a friend. I have a few books that I borrowed from friends and family that they've just recommended to me to read, so that's always a great place to look for books. I'm sure that my book club would also be willing to lend me a few books if I find it necessary. So far I'm doing really good. I finished 1 book this year. I'm working on the second one. And the next book club book is actually one that I recommended and picked out, so I'm excited for that one, and that I know we have at the city library, so I'm going to get that soon. So I have secured that book, but I'm really excited about this challenge to see how it'll do. Will it be really tough for me? Will it be really easy to borrow books from friends, from library, and read the ones that I already have at home? I know that I read about 15 books a year, so not too much, so it should be doable. But on the other hand, My book wish list is really long and I keep adding new things to it. Circulating books is something that is really beautiful. It feels very communal, passing a book along and yeah, just sharing the story with each other. I think nowadays we tend to hoard things, not only books, but us humans, we like collecting things. So this is my home, my book, my whatever, and we tend to not be very willing to lend things to other people with the fear of things breaking or losing and not getting it back. But in the end, it's just an item, and an item is like a tool. It's supposed to bring us value, bring us a story, bring us entertainment, and it's supposed to be used. So I believe that the more we share an item, the more I guess you could say it fulfills its purpose. It sounds a bit weird, but an item is supposed to be used. Why not share the purpose of the item or the positive impact an item can bring? I want to try to move away from saying things like this is my book, this is my whatever, and try to shift my perspective to be more willing to borrow and share with people. We tend to teach children to be generous and to share, but as adults I find that we are the absolute opposite. We don't like to share, we don't like to lend, we like to own and buy and collect for ourselves and ourselves only. So that is an intention that I have for this year. I'm excited how it goes. I will definitely update you, and I really encourage you to also do your own shape or form of challenge. It doesn't have to be books, it can be shoes or clothes or bags or I don't know, things that are your weakness. I really encourage you, maybe you can do a limited amount of things, so only 10 items for this year. Just really shape it into how it suits you. And if you don't want to do a no or low buy challenge, what I really encourage you to at least write down everything you buy. I'm definitely doing that this year as well, since it is you feel a little more guilty about buying something, or you tend to think twice about it if you know you have to add it to a list. And it's really interesting to look at that list at the end of the year or halfway down the year to see what you've bought, because we tend to forget what we buy or what we bought, and sometimes it's really surprising looking back at all the things that you bought throughout the year. So I really encourage you to write down everything you buy. I'm doing it this year. I already have, I think, 2 or 3 items on that list. I really want to, again, keep myself in check, not buy as much. In the past year or so, I have noticed myself shifting back more towards more consumerist habits. I think for one, it has to do with my job in the industry that I'm currently in, and also to do with living in the city. Before, I had lived with my parents for a year on the countryside, and there I felt like, since there were no ads, there were no ads, no billboards, no real shops except for supermarkets, the urge to buy stuff really went down for me. I barely bought anything. But in the city, seeing people wear brand names and trends and billboards, even though you're someone who's really conscious and sensitive to these things, they do still affect you. You're still not immune. So I want to slowly go back to purchasing far more less, and to be really hyper conscious about these consumer messages, and really to consume less, to go back to a more intentional and simple life. So I hope this video was really encouraging to start your own no buy or low buy. Write me in the comments down below what your no buy or low buy will be this year. I've already had some of you comment on my other challenge videos that you're going to do a no or low buy this year. So we're in this together, we can do it. Thank you so much for watching. If this video really intrigued and inspired you, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to know how this challenge is going for me, and to see more videos on intentional living and slow living, and healthy living. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.